How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
is the end. There's a noise inside my head of crying people facing death. Is this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone. There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone. This is the final scene of sweet dreams are made of these. Who am I to disagree? Travel the world and the seven seas. Everybody's looking for something. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to get used by you. Some of them want to use you. Some of them want to be out you.
Hey everyone, what's up? Welcome to Spy Stream. Tonight we are going inside a live meeting with the Democratic Socialists of America New York City branch to talk about their mayoral candidate win. I just want to give a big shout out to Zachy here. Zachy waited 5 whole minutes to subscribe to my channel while not listening to a word that was being said to come in and make a retard comment. And we do like to shame people like this on the channel. We do like to shame people who come in here and they go, "Excuse me, sir, do you realize that socialism is bad and capitalism is good?" You retard, did you even read the description of the video that you're watching right now? Did you bother to do any research at all before you came in here to run your mouth? We are anti-capitalist, retard. I have a long and storied history of shit talking the far left on the internet all the time, and you think you're going to come in here with, "Excuse me, sir, do any of you even have businesses?" Yeah, bro, I have several. So if you guys are, this is a low IQ comment. Well, I know it was a genuine question. I know, that's why I'm calling you a retard. I'm calling you a retard because it was a genuine question, bro. We are a high IQ content channel on the internet. We are not a low IQ content channel on the internet. We are anti-communists here. And that's why we listen to what the left has to say, because the only way to know how to defeat your enemy is to understand your enemy, and that's what we're doing here, and that's what we do on Spy Stream. In about 2 minutes' time, we're going to be going inside a live call with the Democratic Socialists of America. As a reminder, this is a live training. This is live. I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what they're going to do. Let me actually just get the video pulled up here. And actually, I kind of like that I have to watch this streamed on YouTube because it makes things easier for me. Have they started yet? No, they haven't started yet. That's all right. Should we just go to their YouTube channel and watch it there? That might be better, actually. That might be better. Guys, as a reminder, this is Socialism Week. I will be covering radical revolutionary socialism all week long on the channel. If you want to see the streaming schedule, we are going to be doing about 40 hours worth of socialism coverage. Yes, that is 40. We are doing 40 hours of socialism coverage this week. You can find the full schedule of everything we're going to be streaming leading up to and including the Socialism 2025 conference, which is going to start on Thursday. You can find the full streaming schedule there. If you appreciate the work I'm doing, I hope you will consider sending in a super chat or becoming a member of the Substack. I do have a goal of hitting, wait for it, either $1,000 in super chats, power chats, cash apps, or Venmo. Cash app or Venmo is in the QR codes at the top of the screen, or 100 new supporters on my Substack in order to fund what I'm doing, because the only reason I can spend so much time streaming socialism on the internet is because you guys fund my work and you allow me to. So I will show you things that are going on the radical revolutionary far left that no one has ever shown you on the internet. And you'll probably be scarred for life for it and all that stuff. But, you know. Like my new name, I'm excited for this content. Yeah, I did see your new name. And I actually do appreciate it. Thank you for that. Is that Nick? Who is that? I don't even know exactly who that is. But thank you for that. We're already up to over $100 in super chat goals for the progress bar, which is awesome. The one in the which one? There was there's Godspeak, which is by Holy Vacant. That's the first song. There's Burning in Dystopia, which is the second song, and the third one is Sweet Dreams by Marilyn Manson. Oh, Mayo Slices, yeah. Oh, it's Suzanne flying on Suzanne. I never would have guessed that was Suzanne. Look at Suzanne getting saucy in the chat, changing her name. Who would have, Suzanne? Would you have ever thunk that you would be that you'd be trolling my chat like that when you joined our channel? And you remember when Suzanne was like, "Karlyn, I don't have a good memory. Stop yelling at me. I'm trying, okay?" And I was like, "Oh shit, Suzanne, I didn't know you had a bad memory. I'm sorry." But you know what? Suzanne stuck around. Okay, we're stream is starting. I'm gonna shut up now. Ooh. I won't be talking during the stream, guys, because we're streaming. Oh, music. Dance party. Yo. Remember, guys, I don't control their technical prowess. We are under the auspices of socialism technology tonight. It may or may not work. We're going to have to see. It's not my fault if they screw up. Guys, please make sure you mount the like button while we're waiting. Mounting the like button lets YouTube know to recommend my content to more people. If you don't want to mount the like button, you can high five the like button, give the like button a kiss on the cheek, slap on the ass, do whatever. Hold the like button's hand gently, caress their back. Whatever you feel like doing is fine. But just do something to the like button that's not smashing, please. Look, are they all zoom? I want to see them Zoom dancing. I feel like one of them was about to start. Look, a couple of them, they're like swaying. A couple of them want to do Zoom dancing. Yeah, you could do thumb war with the like button. That's a good idea. That's a new suggestion. You can queer the like button if you feel like it. Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah, well, you know, if anyone wants to count how many Jewish people there are on the call, please go ahead. Not that we have anything against Jewish people. We love Jews. Bro, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Haven't there been studies done about this? Hey, do you know who funds the studies? People who have a vested interest in getting the outcome they want. So no, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Try to sit back and learn something. Every time. Conservatives are so desperate for their narrative. They're so desperate. I swear to God. Hey, the DSA candidate just won the nomination for mayor in New York City, and conservatives are like, there's not really that many socialists.
Right. Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. So excited to see so many people joining us and still streaming in. My name is Grace Mauser, and I'm so proud to be one of the co-chairs of the largest chapter of the largest socialist organization in the country. As of today, NYC DSA has over 9,500 members, and there are over 80,000 members of our organization nationally. We are strong and we are growing, and our historic victory on Tuesday will only make us stronger. So I want to talk a little bit about the moment that we are in. So we have over 1,000 people watching this call, both on the Zoom and on streaming channels, and that is truly incredible. But it's also only a fraction of the 50,000 people who volunteered on this campaign. I'm actually going to pause for a moment while we get our slides in order, so forgive us. Okay, maybe not. I will keep going while we get our slides in order. So like I was saying, we have over 1,000 people on this call, but that's only a fraction of the 50,000 people who volunteered on this campaign. Together, those 50,000 people made 2.3 million calls and knocked on over 1.6 million doors. It's truly incredible. Honestly, it's insane what we have built and what we have won together. Together, we bucked decades of political punditry. Together, we felled an avatar of the political establishment. Together, we elected a socialist mayor of the largest city in the country. We did this with a massive and a historic coalition, and New York City DSA was the core of that coalition. NYC DSA has spent years building the muscles and the culture that created this core strategy and the ethos of this campaign. That's why Zohran made DSA his political home back in 2017. It's why our organization was able to propel him to the state assembly in 2020. It's how we built the structure to co-govern and organize alongside Zohran and our other 10 elected DSA officials. NYC DSA was able to do this because we build campaigns and governing infrastructure that believe that everyday New Yorkers can and should be active participants in the structures that affect their lives. We share our knowledge and our skills. We don't gatekeep. I reflect a lot on the fact that basically everything I know about organizing has come from fellow members of this organization. And I'm really, really excited for everyone here to be a part of that. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about who else is joining our call today. We have an incredible lineup of speakers ready. So Tasha Van Auken is the field director of Zohran for NYC. Many of you may also know her as the godmother of sorts of New York City's DSA's political electoral strategy. We're also joined by Michael Lang, who is an advisor to the campaign, and also the author of Narrative Wars. And then finally, we will be joined by Alexa Aviles, who is the city council member for District 38, and she just won re-election as a socialist as well. I do want to flag, though, that Alexa is actively voting on the city budget right now. It may not be able to join us. If that's the case, her campaign manager will be joining us. So what will we be talking about? Our agenda is pretty packed, but we'll try to get you out of here in an hour. First, we're going to talk a little bit about how we got here. Then Tasha is going to share with us more about the field strategy behind how we knocked those 1.6 million doors. Michael will take us into a deeper look of the results. Alexa will talk about her own victory, especially over the insane amount of PAC spending that was spent in her race. And then we'll talk about what's next. So let's get into it. A quick history of DSA. A lot happened in these years, but collectively, we've been through these fights for almost a decade now. And that's why we were ready to be the engine behind this massive campaign. We've built a sustainable movement because we are a member organization that is funded by member dues and driven by member skills. We're not reliant on the whims of political classes. We create our own opportunities and we make ourselves ready to take advantage of broader political trends. Much of this started in 2016 when Bernie ran for president for the first time, and New York City DSA and DSA broadly decided it was time to get serious about running socialists for office and, more importantly, running to win those races. In 2017, we ran 2 city council races. We lost both, but we learned a lot about what it takes to run campaigns, to run a field operation. And we immediately put that information into action. In 2018, AOC won her congressional seat, the massive upset, earlier in June in the summer. And later that summer, Julia Salazar won her state Senate seat. This was really the first campaign that New York City DSA really owned from top to bottom, and it became a model for future races. In 2019, we ran Tiffany Caban for Queens DA. We really nearly won that. We lost by about 60 votes, which I always have in my head when I'm, struggling through canvassing. I'm like, we could win because I knocked 60 more doors. So keep that in mind as you continue door knocking. But this taught us that we can run big races. This was a borough-wide race, and it was really informative to how we can scale to meet the moment. In 2020, this was a really big year. So in 2020, we had the infrastructure that we built in 2017 through 2019. And this enabled us to capitalize on macro political trends like upset over COVID and the George Floyd uprisings. We won 4 state legislative races, which enabled us to create our Socialists in Office committee. And we learned that it's key to stay organized through the years so that we're ready to take advantage of these moments when they happen. In 2021, we ran 6 city council races, and we lost more than we won. But we did build the capacity, and we learned to be attuned to how political trends affect us. We also passed massive taxes on the rich in Albany, and these were really the fruits of our successes in 2018 and 2020. In 2022, we defended our incumbents, and we gained ground even as we lost races, despite it being a very low turnout year. We also targeted enemies of ours that made the success of the Build Public Renewables Act in 2023 possible. We intentionally targeted people who were blockers to this bill. And then in 2023, we in fact passed BPRA, which showed that we can really expand what the state can and should be doing for us. In 2024, we're busy. We run every year, basically. But in 2024, we continued to gain ground. And we also saw another product of our Albany success with good cause eviction, a major housing priority of DSA and the broader left housing movement pass. And then in 2025, of course, we had an incredible victory. I'm still honestly in shock. But what you can see as you look through all these years is that we don't always win, but we have always gained ground. We have always gotten stronger, and we have also always gained skills, and we've gained capacity. And we've done that because of how we structure our campaigns and how we skill share among members so that we continue to have this capacity within DSA and also the broader left. And this ethos really, I think, propelled the Zohran campaign's field strategy and the campaign strategy overall. So with that, I'm honored to be able to pass it to my friend and a wonderful influence on the left and on DSA, Tasha, who was, again, the field director for Zohran for NYC.
Thank you, Grace. I'm so excited to be here. I hope everyone on this call and watching is also feeling that excitement, and feeling the energy and motivation, and yeah, just also still processing everything. But this whole everything that has happened in the last 7 months is really just a story about so many people, about thousands and thousands of people who really dedicated so much of their time over the last 7 months to make this happen. So I'm gonna attempt to walk through some of the big picture things, both like the end results, very big picture end results. Michael, after me, will go into a lot more detail on election results. And then also, I think, sort of big picture orientation and approach to the field strategy on the campaign. But I love that Grace just presented the history, because every single year and every single campaign that we've done has led to this and been a part of this. We've had 9 years of learning, basically. Sorry, I'm not doing math well right now, but we've had a lot of years to learn. So just quickly to go through some field numbers that you may have already heard, but just to run through them. This campaign made 1.6 million door attempts by the end of election day, and 2.3 million phone dials. We had 30,000 plus unique active volunteers and 50,000 volunteer signups. So the active volunteers, meaning those are folks who signed up for phone or canvassing shifts. So there's a lot of other ways that people plugged in to volunteer in other projects, or folks who signed up to volunteer and wanted to volunteer. And in the next 4 months, we will get them to be an active volunteer. But that is just an enormous, enormous number. I'll also say that that number is not an insignificant number of the supporters we need to vote for us. So it was really exciting to work on a campaign where our volunteer base was a significant portion of our voting base. We had 498 trained field leads, which is phenomenal. Basically, every canvass from beginning to end was led by a volunteer. This campaign, just to be completely frank, could not have existed at the scale that it did citywide without this enormous number of people willing to step into leadership roles from day one, and willing to take on pretty huge commitments leading a volunteer shift. Sometimes once a week, many times for many of these folks, they led multiple canvasses a week. We had more than 3,000, way more than 3,000, but it's hard to calculate exactly because of all of our petitioning events and high traffic canvassing events, but well over 3,000 canvasses over the course of 6 months in over 60 neighborhoods. So not only did we have canvases pretty much every day of the week for most of the campaign, but we were all over the city. And these numbers are just astounding. So, a lot of the goals that we set at the beginning of the campaign seemed impossible, seemed very hard to reach. So lots of folks were like, this seems crazy. But the momentum was very clear from the beginning. Our first big canvas launch, which was the DSA field kickoff in December, had hundreds of people attending across the city, and it was immediately clear that there was a real desire to get involved with this campaign. And again, this is just a testament to thousands and thousands of people who got involved, and many of them early on. So I'm going to talk mostly about just sort of the big picture components of the field strategy. And just quickly to say that I think the biggest thing we try to do on a campaign like this, and a huge part of the DSA electoral strategy, is to build a campaign that brings people in, that can take someone who is newly politicized through the moment of the campaign, and bring them into a campaign where they can learn skills, where they can feel what it is like to be part of building collective power, and where they hopefully get plugged in to people and organizations and build relationships in a way that keeps them political for the long term. I've worked on electoral campaigns since 2008. The 2008 Obama campaign was the first campaign I worked on. And I've seen several times, not in the last few years while at DSA, but I've seen several times campaigns happen, these sort of like moments of excitement, moments of activation. And when folks don't have a political home afterwards, that they can become deactivated. And so what we try to do, I think, through our campaigns, and what we definitely was a huge priority on this campaign, was make sure that this is a campaign that is plugging people into something long-term. We started very early on this campaign, early in terms of what electoral campaigns will often do, which is like start at petitioning, which happens a little bit later in February. We started in December. And it's nice to start early because you immediately get off the ground, you knock some doors, you talk to voters, but and those are important pieces, which I'll talk more about. But one of the biggest reasons that it's really great to start early is that we can build the structure for what we want to do at a larger scale throughout the campaign. So we very early on December 14th, we had a citywide, it was the DSA field canvas launch, and it was a citywide launch. I believe we had canvases at 12 locations across the city. And we were able to sort of have this model that then we could show all the people who were volunteering. This is the model for the campaign. This is what we are trying to do. This is what we need more people to help lead if you're interested. And building out of that, we had several field lead trainings throughout the campaign. And at the field lead trainings, those were the first field lead training. I think we expected there to be about 50 people, and we had close to 100 people. And all of the field lead trainings were attended like that. There was enormous desire to be trained up as a field lead, to lead our canvases. And one of the things, and I mentioned this early about there being thousands of people, specifically 500 people who led our canvases, is these were all people, and I can't really emphasize the enormity of this. These were all people who stepped into leadership roles, which on a campaign like this means that you're taking responsibility for experiences that other people are having when they're coming into the campaign. And you're basically taking responsibility and making sure that they are joining an event and a campaign that is welcoming, that teaches them skills, and that makes them feel like they can also be a leader. So moving on to the next bullet point here, leadership replication everywhere. That's what we tried to do from day one, and that is something that we've done for years in DSA, is sort of looking at the definition of a leader. Leadership not being like, I know all the answers and I'm telling people what to do. Instead, leadership being like, I am going to step into this role and take responsibility, and help people come into roles as well, and identify other leaders, and ideally replicate myself, so that there is another person who can do what I do. And I think on this campaign, we really made it a goal. I made this my personal goal. I asked everyone on field staff to make it their goal. And we asked field leads, like, replicate yourself so that by the end of the campaign, there's 10 more of you, there's 50 more of you who can do what you do. And that really, a big part of this involves inspiring other people. And so every single person that stepped into a leadership role was responsible for inspiring other people that came into the campaign. And I think that's just like an enormously powerful thing that we ended up with 500 people who took that role on. I think it's also really important for us to go into a campaign like this, cool, calm leadership. So again, like, leadership isn't about telling people what to do. It's about taking responsibility and troubleshooting and building trust and being able to resolve tensions and conflicts as they come up, as they always will on any big operation like this. And we just had amazing people from all of our field leads, the staff, who built an enormous amount of trust across the entire campaign, and we were able to navigate a lot of challenges just in terms of like the amount of work that was happening and questions that came up and those kinds of things. So if there's one thing to really point to in terms of this strategy, it's just the amazing leadership that came into this campaign. The other thing that I think is very important for us to talk about and think through is being disciplined. Early on in the campaign, we spent about a really long time, about 2 months, building a voter universe for the campaign. And basically what a voter universe is we sort of create the definition of the voters that we are going to talk to during the campaign. In a city like New York City, even with as many volunteers as we had, we can't talk to every single person. It's just impossible. And many voters need multiple conversations, multiple what we call touches to remember to vote. Especially new and less likely voters need multiple bumps to vote. And so very early on, we built a voter universe that was included both folks we knew were going to vote and folks we believed would be likely to vote for us. And we also included a lot of folks who haven't voted recently in the last few years, but we felt like might become active for this campaign. And we created a lot of space for people who are new registrants becoming politically active for the first time. And then we revisited this universe of voters regularly. We looked at the data that came in. And we stayed the course. We stuck to our plan. And I think that this is a really important thing for the left to always take into account when embarking on anything, is to make sure that we're doing things based on like information that we can see and feel and calculate, which doesn't mean we're not responding to things that are different. In our case, we changed the universe throughout this campaign in different ways based on results that were coming back. We would go to more voters in areas where we had more volunteer capacity. We would expand that voter universe. We would talk to slightly different people. We would change our script based on what we were hearing. So definitely responsive to the circumstances. But I think it's really important for the left to be disciplined and to think really clearly about strategy and be aligned and then move together with that strategy. And then the last thing I want to shout out, and I left it for last because I think it's a really powerful piece. I've been a DSA member since 2017. I'm incredibly proud of all of the work that I've been a part of in DSA with so many others. And this campaign, one of the things that was really exciting to me about this campaign was we had this opportunity through this campaign to help build a strong left coalition of DSA and other member-based organizations that were early endorsers. And this is a campaign where I can say honestly that it worked, and it was really incredible the way that many different organizations who've been organizing in New York City for years worked together, did work on the ground, talked to different voters in different parts of the city where they'd been organizing. Other organizations had incredible outreach to voters in different languages. And many of these organizations, also very exciting to me, have like our members are members of, their members are members of DSA. And I think coalition on the left is a tough thing, historically, can be tough to build. And I'm really excited to say that this campaign was incredibly inspiring in, I think, being a part of helping to like continue, shape, and build that. And I hope that we can do a lot more of that. And yeah, I mean, I think my main takeaways, I want to go back to Grace's timeline, because this was my biggest thought election night, was just how hard everything felt a year ago. Things felt very hard. Turnout was very low during the primary last year, especially amongst younger voters. And I think there are obviously still many, many hard things in this moment politically happening. at the national level, especially. But I love that timeline because you can see that like the hard years build for the next years. And it really, to me, like amplifies the urgent and important need for people who are becoming political now to join an organization. And to find a political home so that they can stay political through this incredible moment. But then also, next year we are going to have a lot of work to do after the general election and make sure that all those ups and downs, people have a political home where they can continue to learn and feel connected and know that it is a bump in the road towards something greater. So just enormous gratitude to the thousands of volunteers on this campaign and staff who are all incredible. Several are on this call, and everyone else on this call, and all of my friends at DSA. And I'm going to pass it back over to you, Grace.
Thank you, Tasha. Always so great to like hear from you and learn from your insights, and we're all lucky to get to learn and work with you. So now I get to pass it to another very smart person, Michael Lang, who is the author of Narrative Wars, and a great social media follow, if you haven't, is with us. So I'm going to pass it over to him to talk a little bit more about what the results mean and how we should interpret them. So Michael, over to you.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Grace. Tasha is a very tough act to follow, and I've not spoken in front of 600 people ever, so I'm definitely going to do the best I can. As far as speaking to Zohran's kind of coalition of the in-between, as I like to call it, I would like to direct everyone's attention to this lovely graphic that the New York Times made for us on the right. First, I want to speak about kind of where Andrew Cuomo's support came from. His support very neatly almost bookended kind of the opposite ends of the economic spectrum. He did very well with most low-income voters in the city, and he did even better with the most wealthy voters in the city, right? Like Fifth Avenue, Central Park West, Riverside Drive, Park Avenue, right? And then also in middle-class Black districts and Orthodox and Hasidic Jewish areas, right? Where Zohran Mamdani really broke through is kind of in between, right? In that middle. And that middle has a very wide spectrum, right? If you look at that map on the right, you see that middle-income residents make up 49% of precincts in the city. And you look at the bottom right, you see renters. Renter majority precincts make up 70% of the city. So if you look at that table, these two coalition pieces that Zohran did so well in are the largest kind of segments of this electorate, right? And I think there are many prisms that you can view the results in. I think age is certainly a really dominant look, and I think explains a lot. But I would also say that this kind of middle income, whether it's like working class neighborhoods, right? Like Elmhurst, Sunset Park, right? Middle class neighborhoods, maybe like Astoria, and even upper middle class neighborhoods, right? Like Prospect Heights, Park Slope, things of the sort. The thing that kind of unites them is, of course, not only that they are young-ish, but that these folks are renters, right? And I think that kind of coalition building out from the middle is really where a leftist, a socialist can do really well. And that's what Zohran Mamdani did here, particularly performing well in white, Hispanic, and Asian neighborhoods. And I think, again, another big meta takeaway is that campaigns still really matter, right? There was a ton of outside spending in this race to the tune of over $25 million, right? And the Cuomo thesis was that this spending, coupled with name recognition and just absent really any type of affirmative message at all, would be enough to win. Whereas the Mamdani thesis was that, hey, we have to relentlessly work to kind of expand and build that base, right? And not take any voter for granted. Let's build to expand the electorate, right? So Cuomo took working class voters for granted. Zohran worked relentlessly, right? Meeting people not only where they're at physically, but in their native language, on the mediums which they frequent, to kind of really kind of build that trust and support, which is a very difficult task to accomplish in such a short time. This time last year, Zohran Mamdani citywide probably had 1 or 2% name recognition. to build that trust with so many New Yorkers, particularly to build the trust with New Yorkers who, let's say, they might engage less frequently with politics, right? For good reason, I would add. To build trust with those folks takes a lot of work. And it's because of folks like Tasha, who really made sure that the campaign showed up in every neighborhood, that this was a 5-borough campaign that met New Yorkers where they were at, on the mediums where they were, and in their native language. So if you don't mind me, please go to the next slide. And then, so here we go, the meta narrative. I think my big 3 kind of takeaways in assessing the Zohran coalition is that number 1 was just base building, right? We know that the progressive left is very well in these younger renter heavy neighborhoods, right? As you can see on the map, right? The cluster of orange Mamdani dots is very kind of strongest in that area that I like to call the Kami corridor, right? But the thesis there was that 4 years ago, a lot of young people went to the polls and they weren't even really particularly engaged or courted by a campaign, right? What if a campaign really decided, hey, we're going to reach out to young voters across the city? What could happen? And on Tuesday, you saw exactly what that happened. In certain districts, turnout went up 30, 40, 50% compared to 4 years ago, with an accompanied kind of increase in vote share. In some of these areas, Zohran Mamdani did 20, 30, 40% better than Maya Wiley did, right? And that was just because his campaign became really ubiquitous to young voters in particular, but increasingly people all over the city with paid media, but really kind of juicing the base was a huge part in that. But then you have to pay, winning these neighborhoods alone is not enough to earn a citywide majority, right? And so part of that is, again, making those working class inroads in places like Upper Manhattan and places like Central Brooklyn, right? Areas that Eric Adams, without fail, won 4 years ago, right? But that, again, Andrew Cuomo kind of took some of these neighborhoods for granted, whereas, the Mamdani campaign relentlessly canvassed and worked to appeal to voters, right? And this is kind of where a narrative that has taken hold about the progressive left really kind of falls apart here, because in areas like Central Brooklyn, areas like Upper Manhattan, if the Zohran campaign, if their influence was really truly limited to, a younger professional class, you would not see the clean sweep of precincts across all of these neighborhoods that you did on Tuesday, right? I mean, this was basically a blowout, right? In many of these areas that Eric Adams won by 20 or 30 points last time. And then lastly, perhaps most importantly, is just, the quote unquote, a lower propensity voter activating young voters, but also just kind of bringing Latino and Asian New Yorkers kind of back into the Democratic coalition. There was a wonderful graphic that the New York Times published today that really showed that, again, comparing 2021 to 2025, that there was significantly higher turnout amongst young people. But we found that it's not just young people in any particular neighborhood or borough, that it was really young people all throughout the city, right? Native New Yorkers, non-native New Yorkers. And I think that is something that the campaign should be absolutely really proud of, because it also, again, it kind of brings home that its appeal to younger voters, it was not limited to any one kind of part of the coalition. And I think you saw that throughout the city, kind of I wrote an article on this months ago, but in many parts of New York, the electorate, it skews very old, right? Because younger voters, they've never really been given a reason to engage. And you saw Mamdani's campaign, they really kind of brought down that average age of the electorate. They really brought in people from 18 to 44. And that really is that is the big consequence here of reshaping the political map, not just in New York City, but this is something that will have reverberations all around the country. So I have the easy job. I just get to talk about it. All credit goes to Tasha and Grace and Gustavo. So anyway, that's my spiel. Thank you folks for having me on.
Thank you, Michael. Always so enlightening. I feel like I see a new element of every race every time you talk. So thanks for joining us. So now I am honored to be able to pass it to a fellow member of DSA and a reigning champ, city council member who defeated AIPAC and defeated terrible billionaire and millionaire PACs to defend her seat and defend our territory in Sunset Park, Alexa Aviles. Alexa, welcome. So happy to have you.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? So great. So I forget there's like 628 people on this call. It's unbelievable. So great to hear from Tasha and certainly Michael. Amazing work. I think the big story for our win is the story that you have heard much about Zohran's campaign. It's the we did that thing. We did it together, right? And that's like the most important thing. I feel like we should really like continue to remind ourselves that it is that collective power building, right? That is able to move these campaigns forward. And it's for sure this primary cycle, we took on some real power players here, right? Hedge fund billionaires, corporations, Rebney, and they did the thing that they always do. They pour money, they use the same apparatus, and they think the electorate is just so dumb and gullible. And in fact, the reason why I say some of that is because some of the mailers that they sent out in our race were very reminiscent to the mailers that they sent out in 2001. Like they didn't actually even like really change it up. They didn't realize that, in fact, some of the most egregious, ridiculous claims that they made that just New Yorkers would be like, this is so dumb. I think I might actually vote for her. And in fact, in some instances, they never even translated the mailers. And I had constituents who came, they saw my picture, and even though it was a little like off, they would come and they'd be like, I got your stuff. Thank you so much for all that you're doing, without even having actually recognized that it was like an anti-mailer. So I think the truth is, like, we saw in our race that the real estate and pro-Israel lobby spent upwards of $500,000 trying to buy this seat. Clearly, they wasted a hell of a lot of money. They clearly wasted a hell of a lot of money on Zohran. And that brings me so much delight. So, I have everyone to thank for that. And, I think what's clear is they want to unseat us because we have people power, right? Because we continue to stand on our issues unapologetically, with an enormous amount of conviction, with information, right? Where we are serious policymakers. We're not fucking around. We take this work very, very seriously, and it's kind of very hard to navigate those things. I mean, I think they think we're just like fly by night, like, I mean, why would anyone want to spend all their time doing this crazy shit? But we're dedicated to it because we're dedicated to our movement. And so, I think this is why these victories, right? Shahana, who was able to hold her seat, myself, and Zohran. I mean, this was a huge shock to the system that while they tried to bring all their toys to the game, they had to go back home with them, and they lost big. Of course, it means that bullies persist, right? They're going to come back with more money and more insanity. They're going to try to wedge people. They're going to try to do all the things that they do on a regular. And so I think, for us, obviously, we're going to need to continue to press forward. And many of the things that Tasha said, I think, resonated so deeply. Sticking with the plan, right? It's so easy to be like, oh, like want to respond. I have problems with it sometimes. I want to like shift but there's so much fundamental truth in sticking with the plan and being disciplined. And certainly our canvases, I mean, I think we, in many ways, Zohran's campaign and our campaign started out together, and it was a great way to move forward in community, because the energy around Zohran, if you knew him, like everybody was set to go. But if you knew me, you knew that you were building on a track record. And so many of our community members knew that. And so there was like an incredible merging of the two that I think was just really effective, certainly in our community, that really helped, I think, with all the momentum. But certainly, I think, what we saw is we stood proudly on all of our issues, regardless of how folks may have felt controversial they were. I mean, we were proud and consistent around calling for ceasefire in Gaza, proud and consistent around holding the dignity of people, proud and consistent around the release of Mahmoud Khalil, proud and consistent that Eric Adams was a bully and he was cutting budgets when he didn't need to. And we were very learned and very clear with our demands. And so while the mainstream media obviously tries to paint us as, radical, whatever, I think we showed them, y'all. We showed them that actually this radical agenda really resonated with a hell of a lot of people, and really resonated with young people. In fact, I was at a block party like 2 days ago, and there were all these college students. It was like a group of like 10 or 15 boys, and they were so excited. And they each told me stories about how they ran home to make sure that they would make it to vote. One kid was like running across Brooklyn. The other one was like, I was on the subway and I was so stressed because it was so important to me. These campaigns really connected with them, and they made that effort. And it was just really moving to hear that, right? To hear that kind of energy. And I just reminded them that this is what it looks like when we pull together, right? When we show collective power, and that they were coming for us, and they're going to need to do that again, but they're going to need to bring 5 friends each. Because without that, right, they're going to do all kind of shenanigans. And I was like, I need y'all to commit to me right here on this sidewalk that that's what you're going to do. And they were like, we're down with it. We're down with it. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna find each and every one of you, because I know who the heart of the nucleus is. But I mean, I think, it is both that energy. It is both the brilliance of the Zohran campaign. It is both the hard work that we were building on. But not only in our office, but certainly Tiffany's, all the state SIO. I mean, this is the building of a movement, right? And all these incredible lessons that folks have mentioned earlier. And so, we're not going anywhere, that's for sure. And I think I'm proud to say we had a commanding 44-point lead over our opponent. So we crushed that. Which, I'm being very tame now. I got a potty mouth, so I'm not gonna curse tonight. I'm gonna take a day off. So the blowout feels good, but what really felt even better was obviously the citywide blowout against Rebney, which is the real estate, against Uber, Solidarity Pack, and all these hedge fund bros, and all these people who are investing in Trump, right? Because what we see is that they want the status quo. The status quo works really well for all of them. And, I think it's these races, right? And it's building this coalition that is going to be able to break through, kind of this status quo apparatus that they got going on. And so I think, the stakes are really high. Obviously, you see how hard they've come out swinging after our wins, and certainly they're going to keep swinging. And so I think for us, in the wise words again of Tasha, we got to stay focused. We must stay disciplined. We must not get baited into fighting every single fight that is out there, but really keep our eyes focused on obviously making history, on doing the thing that we believe in, and building the socialist future that we totally believe in, And so, like, I guess for all those of you, I suspect most of you are DSA members, but if you're not, what's up? Come on in. We need you. We need you to join. We need your dues. We need you to continue to hit the pavement with us and bring 5 friends each. And let's continue to build this. It's a very exciting time. And I'm just going to end with saying really, truly deep gratitude to everyone. I mean, it was a scorcher. 122 billion degrees, and you know, people were out there with energy and just so much commitment, whether it was the freezing of the rent or the universal childcare, or just the fact that, you know, this campaign brought joy and a different vision, or that, you know, I like to curse a lot and I don't give a fuck and I'm going to do what I want to do. Whatever it was, you know, it was important to hold it together. And so I just want to like welcome everyone to join us, and let's keep building, you know, this future that we all deserve, honestly. And so just a lot of gratitude to each and every person who contributed in whatever way they did, because it made a huge difference. And you know, Tasha, Michael, Grace, y'all are brilliant and amazing, and I have a lot of gratitude for you all.
Let's hear it for Alexa. Drop some emojis in the chat. Alexa is modest, but she won her race she got over 70% of the vote share. This movement, together with Alexa, steamrolled the opposition. We thoroughly defeated the capitalist class in Sunset Park and in the city. And if you're a worker in New York City, Zohran is our candidate. Today, the New York City Central Labor Council, AFL-CIO, endorsed Zohran. That means that today, New York City's labor movement endorsed a Democratic Socialist for mayor. I want to shout out every union member here, shout out to every worker who pushed their union to endorse this campaign. My name is Gustavo. I'm co-chair of New York City DSA, and I'm a union electrician. It's an honor to be part of a labor movement that is welcoming a candidate rooted in class struggle. Organized labor saw a candidate inspire young people, immigrants, and the working class. They had a choice to turn away from the city or to embrace democracy. And I think it's a sign of what's to come that the labor movement chose to embrace democracy. That's what our movement for democratic socialism is all about. We want to grow and strengthen democracy and build it everywhere. Part of our historic accomplishment this election is redrawing the electorate. It was so historic that no poll could predict that young people under 40, would vote at higher rates than anyone else in the city. It was inconceivable to the establishment and the political experts that a grassroots campaign could activate and politicize New Yorkers at this scale, which no one had ever done. But all of you did that. We did it together. The fight is not over. I want to talk about the importance of building this project. The first time, that's right, Michael got it. He called it. The first time I ever canvassed for any political campaign was when I volunteered for AOC's first primary in 2018. I was no one special on the campaign. I had no special role. I was an ordinary.
Okay, while we're in story time, I just want to do a quick pause to say Democrats are not socialists. And anyone who keeps saying retarded things in my chat like Democrats are socialists, I'm going to put you in a timeout so that you are responsible for listening and not talking. There is no connection between the Democratic Party and what we're watching right now. Democrats are not socialists. Democrats are not communists. Democrats are not progressives. Democrats are as far away from socialists almost as you can get unless you're in the Republican Party. These people have no respect for the Democrats at all. And if you think that these people were voting Democrat or voting for Kamala Harris, that is because you have listened to news media and influencers who have lied to you. Don't ever fucking tell me to chill. You're going in a timeout. People come to this channel to listen and to learn, and I see a wall of chat going, Democrats are communists. No, they're not. That's why we do this. Shut the fuck up and listen. Oh, you just got banned, bro. Bye.
Watching on the Zoom are DSA
My
members.
God.
If you're streaming, you're probably not a DSA member. The time to join is now. You don't have to resign yourself to doom scrolling or feeling bad about politics online. You can be part of a community that looks around and thinks.
It's perfectly fine to be new to this content. It's perfectly fine to not understand that you've been lied to by conservative influencers. But when we repeatedly tell you, and he's not saying anything important right now, when we repeatedly go out of our way to try to tell you these people are not Democrats and you just don't listen, that's when I start to get pissed off. If you're not here to learn, there's the door. You can go right back to Fox News. We don't want to hear it here. We literally just watched a presentation before this in which they said they hated Obama. So congratulations. I know you're new here, but you don't know what you're talking about, and your best idea would be to stop talking and start listening. Or to ask better questions, because you right now are clinging on to this incorrect notion that Democrats are socialists when they are not. And I'll rant more about that later.
Gustavo, while we're waiting, do you want to tell us about when you joined DSA?
Yes. So I joined DSA during the first Trump administration. I knew a little bit about socialism from Latin American history. I'm Peruvian, but I never thought that there could ever be a mass base for our politics, for socialism in the United States back then in 2016. Seeing Bernie run and build a mass movement was the first time in my life that.
All right, people in the chat still aren't listening, so I'll continue to talk over the presentation because obviously people don't want to obviously people don't want to watch the presentation. They just want to pontificate about how Democrats are socialists. So I'm glad to talk over you. The DSA believe in the electoral process. They are what is called reformers. They believe in achieving socialism through the electoral process. Revolutionaries do not believe in the electoral process. The reason they're participating in the electoral process is they are trying to recruit and radicalize disaffected Democrats who left the Democratic Party and did not go right because there is no option on the right for them. They only radicalized to the farther left. This is how they were able to win that mayoral race, by picking up disaffected Democrats who hate the Democratic Party. And do you really think they're leaving the Democrat Party if they hate it, if they like it and they're going to vote for Democrats? Like, honestly, can people start using their brains? Let's go back to the presentation now. I will talk more about this after. But it's really, for new people, it's it's fine to be new to this content. It really, really is. But it is very aggravating for me, and it's very aggravating for a lot of the people that have been watching this content with me for years, when you come into the chat and you don't listen to us trying to help you learn this. This is content you haven't seen anywhere because you have been listening to influencers who lied to you. We will help you learn this and we will teach it to us. But when you argue with us in the chat, when I promise you, you don't know as much about this as us, it is annoying and infuriating, and I don't want to see it anymore. Thank you.
Seeing the election results, I felt actually, of course, a lot of joy, but I felt also a lot of stress and fear about the scale of our responsibility now. But in the weeks since the election, I've seen people.
We still just want to keep talking about this. If Democrats are not socialists, then what are they? They're Democrats. They're Democrats. Democrats are not socialists. Democrats have never been socialists. Democrats like capitalism. Democrats support the capitalist system. They are establishment politicians. They are no different than Republicans, by the way. You think you're all high and mighty? No, you're not. You're literally no different than Democrats. The reason that you believe the Democrats are socialists is you have listened to media that has lied to you for years. Do you want to start listening to the actual socialists now? Do you want to stop talking and start listening to the actual leftists now? Can we please do that? Or are we going to keep arguing? Let me look in the chat. I'm not turning the volume back up until I look in the chat and I see no more fucking arguing. No, it is not different factions. They are not the same fucking thing. Okay, we're going to miss the entire call because you guys want to keep arguing with me. That's fine. Kamala Harris literally told the communists to fuck off at her campaign events. My God.
But with that, I think we'll close. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you in advance for joining DSA. We're so excited to meet new members. We're so excited to meet members that maybe are reactivated now that we have a socialist mayor and a city to win and to govern. And we really appreciate your time.
A city
We'll
to
see
govern.
you in the streets.
All right. We didn't miss anything in that last part of the call, I promise you. They had already gotten the important stuff out, which was the data. So I didn't mind talking over it because we didn't miss anything else. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to answer some questions that came in on the chat. And if you guys have questions, I will answer them. But listen, for people who are new to this, I cannot emphasize this enough. You have got to start unlearning what you have been taught by conservative media. And some people, this might be their very first stream with me and I'm already yelling at them. And I apologize if that's your experience. I really, really do. But what you have to understand is that me and my community, we have been screaming this into the conservative ecosystem for years and no one listens. And we're now finally starting to see more people listen. And it is just so clear how much you all have been lied to. And I'm very sorry that you have been lied to by your influencers. I'm very sorry. But the problem is severe. And the only solution to this is if people shut up, stop talking, stop believing that you know everything, because I guarantee you, you guys know nothing. And there was a time when people on my channel also knew nothing. There was a time when people, including me, by the way, I learned all this stuff live on the internet over the course of years, just by watching the left. There was a time when we were all ignorant of this too. There was a time when many of us believed conservative media too. All right? But you need to come back to reality and you need to listen to what is actually being said. And the biggest challenge that I have in terms of getting people to take this stuff seriously and to take the far left seriously is this monumental misperception around Democrats being socialists and communists. Every single time you call Democrats socialists and communists, you are running cover for the real communists. You are allowing the left to win. You are supporting the communists and the socialists when you do this. It has got to stop. People have got to start waking up. And I know that this is not convenient because you've got all your conservative influencers saying Democrats are communists. They're going to start screaming it leading up to the midterms. And what I need you guys to do is to reply to them and say, fuck off. No, they're not. Start paying attention to the real far left, because every single time this happens, the real far left makes progress. Do you want to know why there's a Democratic Socialist nominee for mayor of New York City? It's because the real far left was able to organize completely unopposed. Can we just look at some numbers? Hang on, let me get the numbers on the screen, because I want people to think about the numbers we heard tonight on this call, because this is actually fucking terrifying. This is actually fucking terrifying. Do you want to know how the Socialist just won the nomination for mayor in New York City? They had over 30,000 volunteers for this campaign, organized through the DSA. Over 30,000 people organized through the DSA. They made over 2.3 million phone calls. How come the Democrats don't do what I want them to do? Because they don't fucking answer to you. You being unhinged from reality is not contingent upon what the Democrats do or don't do. Do you want to be hinged into reality or do you not want to be hinged into reality? Because people who want to be hinged into reality, they don't say, I'm only going to get hinged into reality if other people do what I want them to do. Because that's not the way the fucking world works. Either you want to be hinged into reality or you do not. Your obsession with hating the Democrats is why the communists are going to win. Your obsession with hating the Democrats and demonizing the Democrats are why the communists and socialists control the public schools. It's why they control the universities. It's why they just got their nominee for mayor in New York City. It's why they were able to activate 30,000 people. Do you think that the Republicans have ever been able to organize 30,000 volunteers for any mayoral campaign ever? Has the GOP ever in the history of the GOP been able to activate 30,000 volunteers for a mayor's race? Has the GOP ever in the history of the GOP been able to activate 30,000 people to make 2.3 million phone calls and knock on 1.6 million doors in a mayor's race? The answer is no. And if you care about solving this problem, then you have got to let go of your unhinged fucking hatred for the Democratic Party, who are really inconsequential in all of this right now. And you've got to move on. And do not ever fucking tell me to calm down on my channel. I've been screaming about this for years while people like you have been doing nothing. So if you don't like it, go back to Fox News. I don't give a fuck. Oh my God, my feelings are hurt. The mean woman yelled at me. I'm going to let the communists win again and be lied to by Fox News because the mean woman yelled at me. I don't give a fuck about your feelings. Do you understand? When you have done the work of spending thousands of hours watching these people, breaking down these people, explaining this stuff to people like you who were asleep until 5 fucking minutes ago. I have been doing this for over 4 years while you have been watching Fox News. So don't tell me to calm the fuck down. My God. And if you guys don't like it, go back to Fox News or go find someone else who will teach you this content, because ain't no one else on the internet doing what I'm doing. And conservatives are having a hissy fit because they got their fifis hurt. Yes, if the Catholic priest is watching, if the Catholic priest that I talked to earlier today, who was very nice and very kind, and I think probably understands my frustration, if he is watching, he hopefully can pray a rosary for us or something. That'd be pretty great. Hey, thanks, Suzanne. I appreciate that super chat. So I'm going to talk a little bit more, and I'm going to answer some questions and all that stuff. Let me just get this super chat added to the total. If you guys appreciate my work and don't want to back talk to me, see, this is why I don't have kids. This is why I don't have kids. This is why I will never have kids. I cannot deal with this level of back talk from retards in my chat. You think I can deal with having a child? No. Nope. Not going to deal with that. Not going to do that. Okay. Let me just go through the chat real quick. Want to see if there's anything else I need to respond to before I go back. Yeah. You guys think I'm mean? You think I'm mean? You think I'm the biggest problem you have to deal with? Do you think the left gives a flying fuck about your feelings? Do you think the 30,000 Democrats that activated to get that guy nominated in New York City, do you think they give a flying fuck about your feelings? They're trying to trans and queer your kids in school right now. They're trying to eliminate parental rights. They're trying to take away your ability to own a home. They're trying to take away your ability to own a business. They're trying to take away your ability. They're trying to abolish the fucking Constitution and overthrow the government. And all conservatives are like, oh my God, Karlyn is so mean. Why doesn't she calm down? I don't calm down because you guys have had your heads in the sand while I've been doing this shit for years and you've been nowhere. True. That is actually very, very, very true. That's actually that is the smartest thing I've seen in the chat all night. That is the smartest thing. Yo! Did I just get a big super chat? Maria Callis fan in with the $100 super chat. Look at us. We're already like a quarter of the way to our week goal already. Maria Callis fan, thank you so much for your generous support. I really do appreciate it. See, all I have to do is get angry on the internet and yell and yell and yell and yell and yell and yell and then yell some more and then yell some more. And then someone sends me money and then I feel justified in my yelling. People don't understand how New York City isn't the whole of the USA. Socialists have been infiltrating the DSA and Dems for the last 20 years here. How much effort have the Libertarian and Republicans and centrists put into infiltrating the Democrats? Zero. That is how we have a socialist mayoral candidate. Well, that's part of how. Yeah, exactly. The new people right now are going through the 5 stages of grief. That's true. That's true. We got to whip some sense into conservatives. Because we're going to lose. Do you guys want to know why I mean? We're going to lose. At the rate that things are going, we are going to lose. And the left is going to win. This is why I am mean. Because to this point, the right has not taken this seriously. And even now, the right still doesn't take this seriously. Is socialist the same thing as communist? For our purposes, yes. It's not precisely the same thing, but socialists refer to themselves as socialist, communist, and Marxist pretty much interchangeably. So functionally, it's basically the same thing, and it's just not useful to distinguish it. And guys, when we lose, that means we lose the country. We lose the Constitution. We lose our entire way of life. You lose your kids. When I say we are going to lose, that's what I'm talking about. So you want to know why I'm so angry and why I don't allow you to tell me to calm down? Why the fuck aren't you more angry? Why isn't everyone who finds out how badly they've been lied to by conservative influencers about the left? Why aren't you all more angry at your influencers than you are at me for telling you the truth? Thanks, Suzanne. I appreciate it. Oh, you think Florida's safe? Oh, that's a laugh, but okay. Conservatives are still apparently under the misguided notion that Florida is still going to save them. Yeah. No, that's not right. You need to stop talking and start listening, bro. All right. Let me see. Let me go back to some of the chats that I tagged. Let me see. Someone asked a question about, are they involved in the weed stuff? I haven't seen them talk about that an awful lot, so I would say no. Chris says, I assume they're aggressively using social media because this in-person stuff doesn't work. No, that's not correct. The reason, the reason that you think that is because the only thing conservatives do is meme and tweet, and that's it. The left focuses primarily on in-person organizing, either through educational events, outreach tactics, stuff like that. That's not to say they don't do online stuff. They obviously do. They use online for meeting organizations and things like that. But the reality is that most of what they do is in the real world because that's what actually works and that's how organizing actually functions. You think it's all social media and digital because you are getting your information from conservative influencers who only know how to tweet. So no, that's not correct that they're only doing it. Okay, let me see. Let me go back to the chat. Yeah, so, and not an insignificant amount of people in my audience have actually gone to leftist events in real life. They hold leftist events in real life like literally all the time. Literally all the time. Conservatives don't hold events in real life, by the way. So, not really. All right. See, this is the spirit. When you get angry, Don't get angry at me for telling you the truth. I understand that it can be shocking when you first see it. I really, really do. I can understand that it can be shocking. But you should be angry at all the people who have lied to you. The reason that the left is winning is because conservative media is lying to their audience. The reason there is no opposition to the left is because conservative media is lying to their audience. I am very sorry, but that is the truth. They don't care about religion. The reason you think they care about religion is because you listen to people who lie to you. Mac B, thank you for the super chat. We will end up in the gulags before conservatives even listen. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? And it's sad and it sucks, but guys, that's evidence about why we need to make sure we're watching out for ourselves. No one is coming to save us. There is no organizing apparatus on the right. There's not. So, are they in on it? They make money from it. This is how conservatives make their money, by controlling a narrative and not allowing anyone who doesn't align with their narrative access to their audiences. Yeah. So let's go back and look at this. Yeah, well, you came in when I was yelling on the internet, bro, so maybe you missed something. The reason they won is they had 6.1 million door knock attempts, 2.3 million phone call dials, 30,000 unique active volunteers. That's insane. That is absurd. 500 field leads. That's absurd. More than 3,000 canvases over 6 months in 60 neighborhoods in New York City. Let's see, I put some other images in the chat, in the replies as well. Oh, why did it do that? Zohran's coalition was strongest among working, middle, and upper class renters, particularly in white, Hispanic, and Asian neighborhoods. So you think they're anti-white? You think they hate white people? White people voted for this. No, it doesn't. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care about religion. What did I just say to you that you didn't listen to because you don't listen? They don't care about religion. You care about religion because you get fed this bullshit by conservative influencers. They don't care about religion. I don't know how much more clear I can be. They don't care about religion. I've been livid ever since Trump won back in 2024. As everyone on the right, and even Tim Pool, who I used to listen to daily, kept shouting, we're winning, and look at where we're at now. Yeah. And for the record, I was one of the only people, and you can go back and watch my streams, you can go back to my tweets, you can find my content. I was one of the only people screaming, the left hasn't gone away, the left hasn't gone away, the left hasn't gone away. They're organizing, they're organizing, they're organizing. We were watching their calls. We were watching their meetings on this channel. I was shouting. You guys want to know why I get pissed off? I was shouting into the ether for months. You can go back and look at my tweets. You can go look at the Substack. You can go look at all of it. Saying the left isn't dead. Woke isn't dead. They haven't gone anywhere. They've just gotten quiet. It's winter. It's cold out. They're coming back. They're organizing. No one listened. No one listened. And here we are. This is the one that really scares me, if I'm being honest about it. Non-voter activation. Unprecedented youth turnout of all races and class, bringing working class Asians back into the Democratic Party electorate. The DSA was able to go out and activate people who were not voting. And they were able to do it to get them to vote for the DSA candidate within the Democratic Party. So here is one of the things that's confusing to people. And I understand why this is confusing for people, but let me break this down, okay? People think that because Zohran ran as a Democrat, that means he is that means that is his actual affiliation. Except that's not true. Well, no, again, okay, you're getting put in a timeout because I'm literally trying to explain this to you, and all you're doing is talk, and you're not fucking listening. So now you can sit in a 5-minute timeout while I very patiently explain this to you, and I am taking away your ability to talk so that you actually sit back and fucking listen. People are confused because he ran as a Democrat. However, he is a card-carrying member of the Democratic Socialists of America. And his language that he's used in some of his posts is actually even more far left than even DSA talking points. So here is what I think he is. Bruh, oh my God! Is this literally how easy it is to trick conservatives? If they're not Democrats, then why do they have Democrat in their name? Didi. To socialists, when they say democracy, they mean socialism. They do not mean American democracy. When they say democracy, the only form of quote unquote democracy that they believe is real democracy is socialism. Now, can I please explain what I've been trying to explain while people keep talking in the chat over things that are not related to what I'm trying to explain? Do I have any control over my own channel at all? Sometimes I question that. We are now going back to the beginning. And I want to see no arguing with me in the chat. I am taking my time to explain something to you. You are going to listen. If you do not listen, you will be put in a timeout. If you get belligerent, you will be removed. I understand that it's confusing to people that he ran in the Democratic Party while being a member of the Democratic Socialists of America. Let me go to my website. Actually, this is a really good idea. On my website, Decode the Left, if you go to decodetheleft.com/map, I have literally created an image to explain the difference between Democrats and liberals and progressives and democratic socialists and revolutionary socialists. You can read the distinction there. The Democratic Party is the party that they ran on the ticket for. But he is a democratic socialist that uses language that leans into revolutionary socialism. So why did he run as a Democrat? Well, the DSA in New York City, as they explained on the call, has a history of trying to use the Democratic Party in order to advance their candidates. The reason they do this, particularly in New York, and it's very, very important people understand this. The reason they do this, particularly in New York, is that in New York, ballot access laws are impossible. It is not possible to get a third party on the ballot in New York in any major race. And I know this because I happen to know a guy that ran for governor of New York as a libertarian. And he had all sorts of people working on his ballot access campaign. And they actually did get the signatures required to get him on the ballot as a libertarian for governor in New York. And it was an insane amount of signatures. It was something like 25,000 signatures. If any of you have ever worked on a ballot access campaign, you know how difficult that is. That is an insane number of signatures. It requires a massive volunteer base. It requires massive fundraising. It is almost an impossible number to meet. Well, guess what? The guy who ran for governor as a libertarian in New York, he did it. And then they threw him off the ballot anyway. So this is how corrupt the two parties are. I mean, generally speaking, but especially in New York when it comes to ballot access. Even if you meet all the requirements, they will find another reason to eliminate you from the ballot. So for the Democratic Socialists of America, could they organize to try to get enough signatures required to get someone on the ballot as a Democratic Socialist of America candidate? Yes, they could. They could do that. But even then, there's literally no guarantee they're going to be on the ballot because the ballot access laws are corrupt as fuck. So, say you are the Democratic Socialists of America, and by the way, the difference between Tier 4 and 5 on this map, which Tier 4 is Democratic Socialists of America and Tier 5 is Revolutionary Socialists, the difference between Tier 4 and Tier 5 is that Democratic Socialists of America still believe in the electoral process. Revolutionary Socialists, Tier 5, do not believe in the electoral process. They want to overthrow the entire system, and they don't believe that running candidates in races is going to get them that. But the Democratic Socialists of America still believe they can achieve socialism through elections. They can achieve socialism by getting their candidates elected. Tier 4 and Tier 5 have exactly the same vision for the world. They both want to overthrow capitalism. They both want to undo the Constitution. They both want to undo the government. But the difference between Democratic Socialists and Revolutionary Socialists is Democratic Socialists are reformers that still run candidates. Revolutionary Socialists are revolutionaries that just want to abolish everything. Keep that in mind. I'm going to come back to that. Thank you, Maria. I live in NYC with close primaries, and they game working families for this. You can hate a commie or socialist, but who hates a working family? Hey, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? So, if you are a Democratic Socialist of America, as Zohran is, and you still believe that running in elections and winning electoral power is the best way you have to change the system, which they do, the only option in New York is to run as a Democrat and try to take your chances and try to use the party apparatus, but more specifically, the ballot access laws. You're still just talking and talking and talking. You're still just talking and talking and talking when I told you to listen. Time out again. The only reasonable chance that the Democratic Socialists of America have in New York is to utilize the ballot access laws by running within the Democratic Party and getting access that way. That's it. That's why they're doing it. That's why they did it with AOC. That's why they've done it with countless smaller candidates. And by the way, you guys have never heard this on conservative media, have you? Because they don't explain this to you. So I understand it's confusing. But what you have to understand is Zohran is a reformist socialist who believes in using elections in order to achieve socialism, but ultimately his goal is to overthrow the system. And I know this based on some of the language that he's using. He is a revolutionary at heart, but he's still using elections right now, which makes him a reformist for right now. So that's why. Just because he has the Democrat title does not mean he is functionally a Democrat. He does not believe in the same things that the Democratic Party believes in. He doesn't believe the same things that the liberals believe in. He believes the same things as the revolutionaries. He's just trying to use the electoral system in order to achieve those end goals. Does anyone have questions about what I just said? And I promise you, if you ask a question and you're nice about it and you're asking in good faith, I won't yell at you. But like, questions are welcomed. Ongoing argument is not. Well, okay, so he is using elections, so technically he is a 4, but I've seen his tweets. His mentality is the same as 5, but I think he's probably in a place where he's still like, let's try to use elections if we can, right? So that's what we're talking about, guys. And we have to start being clear about this, and we have to start being nuanced about this. If for my sanity. If for no other reason. Because I don't actually like yelling on the internet, but Well, yeah, this is actually a really good point. Not only does the DSA use this, the Working Families Party also uses this. Yeah, we might be doing a spy stream with the Working Families Party tomorrow, actually. How can conservatives differentiate between people like him and others that are actually Democrats? Well, they need to learn. What conservatives need to do is they need to stop talking and they need to unlearn everything they've ever learned, and they need to start listening is the only thing. No, it's not a new strategy. Amy, I literally just explained this is not a new strategy, and they explained on this call this is not a new strategy. This is what they did with AOC. Hang on. Did that call say the DSA had 60,000 volunteers? Not quite. It said they had Yeah, I heard about this. Actually, I heard about this and I want to watch this later. I absolutely want to watch this. Yes, Emmy O'Brien would fit into tier 5. So it said they had 30,000 unique active volunteers with 50,000 total signups. So they had 50,000 people who signed up to volunteer, with 30,000 people becoming active volunteers. And guys, those 30,000 people are going to be working harder than ever to get him elected mayor now. Those 30,000 volunteers that got him that nomination, they're not going anywhere. Everyone understands this, right? I don't know about tonight. I got other stuff I got to do tonight, but we'll watch it at some point. Maybe can't watch it on Friday. Shit. I don't know. We'll watch it at some point. Thank you, Suzanne. I appreciate you. I'm going to take a screenshot of that. See, people think because I yell all the time, people hate me. No, some people like getting yelled at. Just the way it goes. Brooklyn, I love that you managed to explain all of that without the BDSM paddle. Thank you. Well, I don't know, Brooklyn. The BDSM paddle might be coming out. It might be coming out sooner rather than later. I guess we'll have to see. All right. It's tough love. It really is. It is tough love. I yell because you are not listening and I need you to listen. I live in New York and the elections and electoral system is exactly as Karlyn said. Yeah, I know my shit. Thank you for confirming. Yeah, I know you. I know what you want. Don't get it twisted. I know. None of you hide. I know. All right, guys. So that's happening. Well, this is a nightmare. What else did they say? The radical agenda resonated with a lot of young people. Yeah, that's great. We are so effed. Hey, but the good news is, hang on. Karlyn, I've seen you on No More News a couple of times. Just wanted to say what you're saying and doing here is very much appreciated, and some of us are listening. Thank you. I appreciate Adam having me on recently. I appreciate him coming on the channel. Everyone should check out No More News and listen to him too, because he's also talking about stuff that no one else is talking about. All right, so if I haven't scared you away, please make sure you've mounted the like button for me. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And if you guys really want to see the very best content on the internet, then you need to stick around because it is Socialism Week on the channel. No. What have I told you? Your job right now is to shut the fuck up and listen. Why don't people take me seriously when I say this? Time out again for you. I volunteered for the Adams campaign and 0 people have contacted me while I am bothered to death by the Zohran people. Isn't that funny? Let me add that to the total. All right, guys, we are entering into Socialism Week. This is a pretty good kickoff, but it is just the kickoff. We will be watching about 40 hours of socialism content this week because the Socialism Conference, which is an actual conference in Chicago, starts on Thursday evening. Leading up to the Socialism Conference, I'm going to be hosting a series of streams of classic Socialism Conference presentations. Also, we are going to be doing other spy streams. Tomorrow, if you go to the website, the Substack, karlyn.substack.com, let me post this in the chat. This is the full streaming schedule that I have for the conference. Now, tomorrow we have a couple things. We have a 5 p.m. stream, but we may end up doing a spy stream instead of that, and I will be updating the schedule for that. However, what I really want to draw people's attention to is tomorrow night, around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be spy streaming a real, radical, revolutionary, socialist organizing meeting. And I will show you the real far left, and I will show you in their environment when they think that no one is listening. But here is the challenge. This spy stream is going to be a supporter-only stream. It's open to supporters on my Substack, supporters on my locals, supporters on my Patreon, supporters on my Twitter subscriptions, and my YouTube channel membership. So if you want to become a supporter, head over to the Substack, karlyn.substack.com. That red QR code will take you right there. Or you can just buy a YouTube channel membership and you'll get access to it as well. Whatever's clever. The reason I have to keep this as a supporter-only spy stream is it protects our security from getting caught infiltrating the event. Tonight's spy stream was public, okay? They were streaming that live on the internet. I don't have to make that a supporter-only stream. I can do that live. But when we're going into real radical revolutionary socialist meetings and they don't know we're recording them, we have to be a little bit more careful. Hey, Angel Eyes just gifted 10 memberships to the channel. Let's see who got a membership. DJ got one. Clump got one. Jared got one. Taz got one. Velveeta got one. Pazkov got one. Ferial got one. Jan got one. Aaron Lindsay got one. Congratulations to everyone who got a channel membership. Come to the spy stream tomorrow. And this is going to be a crazy spy stream, guys. I promise you it's going to be worth it. On Wednesday, we're going to be watching a presentation from the Socialism 2022 conference called How Do We Get a New Constitution? Because socialists want to abolish the Constitution. But the real fun starts on Thursday. On Thursday, we're going to start our normal 5 p.m. stream. Nick gifted a channel membership. Ray got that channel membership. Thank you, Nick, for that. Note said, I used to support on locals. Would Substack be the preferred method? Yes, Substack is my preferred method of support. And so definitely sign up on that. If you wanted to do locals, that's fine too, but Substack is definitely my preferred method now. And which gives the best cut? Substack gives the same cut as locals, but I just prefer Substack. And so I would recommend signing up over there, and I do appreciate it. So Thursday is when the real fun begins. At 5 p.m. on Thursday, we're going to do a couple classic socialism streams, and you guys are going to be, we're going to do transgender Marxism again. It's going to be awesome. But the Socialism Conference starts streaming at 8:30 p.m. on Thursday, and then they go all day Friday, and then all day Saturday. So I need everyone to clear your 4th of July day plans. No one is going to a barbecue. No one is going to a parade. You can all buy some beer and you can come and watch socialism with us. Okay? That's what we're doing. No one is having fun on the 4th of July. We are spending literally all day watching live streams coming out of Chicago for the Socialism 2025 conference. And we're going to see some insane presentations. And I might go crazy and I might yell at people on the stream and I might break down in tears and cry. And I'm gonna watch 40 hours of socialism this week, and it's gonna be great. But you guys, but I want everyone to know about this. I want you to make your plans accordingly. Okay, the Socialism Conference comes around once a year. You guys can have a barbecue anytime. Raven is a new member of the channel. Thank you, Raven, for that. So we're doing a ton of content this week. You guys can really help me out by telling people about my content. Yes. It will be. So if you are a supporter and you miss the live spy stream, you can always access the on-demand one later. So you can watch it on demand. All right. So the way you guys can help me out is, of course, by supporting my work, either on Substack, sending in super chats, whatever you want to do. But the biggest thing is share this with people and bring other people here. And I promise I really have been trying not to yell at new people, but sometimes you make me and I have to. But like, we're trying to welcome new people in, and we're throwing you into the deep end of the pool this week. And it might terrify you, but sharing my content with people really helps. Making sure we're getting the word out, making sure that you're not going to hear this stuff on conservative media. This is part of the frustration, but you can hear it here. And you never have to take my word for it, guys. I will always show you the direct receipts from the left itself so that you can just listen to what they're saying and act accordingly. Yeah. That's okay, though. That's okay. The streams will be here when you're ready. If you have to work on Friday, you have an excuse. If you're trying to go to a parade on Friday, you do not have an excuse. Stay home, sit your ass down, watch Socialism. It'll be fine. No, they're not narcissistic. They're not. That, again, is what we call a conservative bullshit talking point. But I understand why you might think that. But the more you watch them and engage with them, the more you will understand they are highly organized, they are highly strategic, they are highly effective. And this is why we need to understand our enemy a little bit better than this. Everyone can suck it up, Buttercup. Exactly. Yeah, people should be scared. They should be more scared of the left than they are of me. Exactly. You've emailed so many people about this channel and no one's responded. Hey, welcome to my life. Welcome to my life, but that's okay. You want to know why? I don't care about talking to them. I care about talking to normal people like you. So I don't like talking to other content creators. I like talking to normal people and showing them what's going on. All right, I am losing my voice because I yelled, so I gotta go. But I appreciate everyone who came out for Spy Stream. I will be back tomorrow. And we'll do it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. You can't see me. There we go. That's not what I wanted to do. I will be back tomorrow. And we will do it all over again. I hope you all have a great rest of your night. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you here?
That's difficult to answer.
is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for the people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.